Good afternoon, this is Mark at the Wicked Edge Expert Corner Group, and we're talking about accessorizing a Stabil-Rizer kit with an extender kit and some offset clamps. And I forgot to talk about something. We're talking about the knife. It's a two-bladed knife, one on each side, so one blade is this way, and the other blade, when you turn it, the blade is off center. When you work with micro adjusters, when you do your adjustment with the cube, even though the blade is shifted over, it's kept, if you have everything clamped right, set up in the right configuration. It should be parallel to the center line, just the width of the blade over. And then with your micro adjusters, especially when you're working with a 130 or I don't remember what other, even with the Gen 3 Pro, there's enough adjustment in there that when you work with the cube, it will be, you won't even notice that it's offset. The only time you know it's offset is when you have to raise this up. Now these clamps, I want to talk about them real quick. These clamps are miniature versions of the new Wicked Edge standard vise clamp. And they can be bent. These, the way they work, they are meant to be self-centering, but when they get to that point that they're self-centered, as you add more pressure, it does tend to draw in from one side or the other. I'm not sure whether it draws it tighter on the screw side or the nut side. I'm guessing probably the nut side because of the flatness of it, that it's a folding point is my guess. But the clamps, like I said, they're miniature versions and they are thin. They're used in conjunction with the framework and the knife, making that big square, clamping everything together. So it's only to stabilize that blade. So don't over tighten them, because as we saw happen with Jamie in England, they bend, even the new standard vise bend, and these will certainly bend far before them. And I cannot replace bent vices. They need to be used for what they are. Anyway, offset, taken care of, and bent vices, it takes a little learning. And the other thing you have to realize is that screw comes out the side, and it may, for your application, because it's a pretty good gap, and when you start putting it on a thin blade, that screw may stick out too far, so you may find that you need to take a file to that screw and shorten it, or get another one. They do come from me with multiple screws, but I don't think that one is short and one is long. I tried to make that variety when I saw that was possible, and I don't know that the screw that's in it is shorter than the extra screw. They may be the same, or it may be the shortest screw. But be aware of that it is a standard vise in the sense that the screw comes sticking through, and when you're working like here out at an extreme, the back side, you can see that nut sticking out. So I haven't tried to put a stone on that side yet to see. Let's throw that over there. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to go into this amount of detail, but I may as well because Ed's going to need to know this, and anybody else that works with the Stabil-Rizers need to know that it is a vise and it does have, yeah, that is bumping, and there's probably a 1/8 of an inch of screw sticking out on there. So what that tells me is that before I would ever use it, I would be taking a hacksaw and cutting off at least a 1/16 of it and then filing it while the nut is still on there. Even maybe right here, because it's not much to cut that screw and to file it smooth. And then you'll get it where you need it, and then you'll have it for these thin knives for the future. So any knife that you guys are sharpening with the Stabil-Rizer, that can happen. It may be so thin when you're trying to clamp it that that nut is sticking out because you're at such a low angle. That may be the case. So you may have to take a file or something to it to give yourself that sharpening room. Thanks.